Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Um, just wanted to stop in and share with y'all some of the weird, wicked, disturbing news reports in the past 2 days that I have been looking at on the internet that just really just, I'm not scared, but it's just like, gosh, you think about all the things that's going on in the world, all the weird, wicked, crazy stuff that's going on in the world. It really shouldn't surprise you because the Bible did say that these things were going to come to pass and prophecy is being fulfilled, but it just takes you back to the scripture in 2 Timothy chapter 3 where Paul instructs his student Timothy. He says, Paul was Timothy's mentor and he said, the Bible, the scripture says, I'm going to read it to you, he said, but mark this. He said, there will be terrible times in the last days. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, but treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power. It says have nothing to do with such people. He further says that they're the kind who worm their way into the homes and gain control over silly women who are loaded down with sins and are swayed by all kinds of evil desires, always learning but never able to come to a knowledge of the truth. But as Jannes and Jambres opposed Moses, so also these teachers oppose the truth. They are men of depraved minds who, as far as the faith is concerned, are rejected. But they will not get very far because, as in the case of those men, their folly will be clear to everyone. And his final charge to Timothy is, you, however, know all about my teachings, my way of life, my purpose, faith, patience, love, endurance, persecutions, sufferings, what kinds of things happened to me in Antioch, Iconium, and Lystra, the persecutions I endured. Yet the Lord rescued me from all of them. In fact, everyone who wants to live a godly life in Christ will be persecuted, while evildoers and impostors will go from bad to worse, deceiving and being deceived. But as for you, continue in what you have learned and have become convinced of, because you know those from whom you have learned it, and how from infancy you have known the Holy Scriptures, which are able to make you wise for salvation through faith in Christ Jesus. All Scripture is God-breathed and is useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness, so that the servant of God may be thoroughly equipped for every good work. That was Timothy's charge to, that's Paul's charge to Timothy. And man, if this is not applicable to what the events that's going on now, that I've been seeing in the news, man, that Bible is something else. But I'm going to go over some of the things, and I'm going to post the news articles, as I share them with y'all. The stories that's been, it's crazy. But first of all, we all know that there has been reports about a possible another pandemic maybe might be looming. And they keep talking about this mpox. And now they're saying that the World Health Organization has declared it a public health emergency on a global scale, worldwide, because it has spread to 13 countries. It started off in the Congos in Africa. And then in America, they kept saying that it was being spread amongst men who have sex with men. But now it's spread to 13 countries, and now they're declaring it, the World Health Organization is declaring it a public health emergency worldwide. That's just how HIV/AIDS started. At first, they said it was over in Africa, and then it spread to, amongst the gay community. They called it the gay cancer back in the day, remember? In the late 70s, early 80s when it was first discovered. It was mainly amongst gay men in Europe and America. And then eventually it spread because of bisexual men were infecting heterosexual women. And then it spread to children and babies and the whole world. And then it became a worldwide epidemic. And then we got to think about COVID. COVID started over in China. They said Wuhan, China. And it was brought back to different countries from people who traveled abroad to China and brought it back to their home countries and their native countries. And it spread to their countries and then it spread throughout the world. So it's kind of making me think that a lot of these conspiracy theorists may have valid points to where they're saying that these viruses were created. Because if you notice that HIV/AIDS started over in Africa and it's most affected, the most people who are affected by it are in Africa, the continent of Africa, and amongst the gay male community worldwide. But then it's spread to the rest of the world because you can't contain a virus and think it's going to kill certain people and it not affect the entire world. You just can't do it. I don't care how your racist hatred will make you put something into a certain population and think it's just going to only kill that population and not affect the whole world. It's kind of like the same thing they did with the crack cocaine epidemic here in America. They thought that it was going to just affect the African American community, but it ended up affecting the entire country. You can't dump drugs in poor black communities and think it's not going to affect the entire country. And that's the same thing that is happening with these viruses. And then, now with the COVID, like I said, they're saying, the conspiracy theorists are saying they put it over in China. It was manufactured in China to maintain population control. But then when people from all over the world were being infected in China, they brought it back to their home countries and it started spreading throughout the world. And now with this mpox, monkeypox, I don't know why people don't want to say monkeypox on their YouTubes, but whatever, I'll say it. It's over in Africa, in the Congos. But in America, I remember seeing reports last year that they said it was being spread amongst men who have sex with men. So it's starting off, if they did manufacture this virus, they put it over in Africa for mass genocide because it has killed thousands of people. Even though they said people with healthy immune systems, they said it usually lasts for 2 weeks and then it clears itself up, but it has killed thousands and thousands of people. So the conspiracy theorists have a point there. So I'm wondering now, are they manufacturing these viruses and putting them in certain populations in order to commit mass genocide? It's very disturbing, but I want to post that news story up. And then there's another story about pestilence in a small town in Massachusetts, Oxford, Massachusetts, where the city council has voted to approve a voluntary curfew or lockdown after 6 p.m. in that town amongst residents because they said there is a mosquito issue, or there's a pestilence where an infected mosquito infected with a virus called EEE. There's a mosquito, and if you're bitten by an infected mosquito, this is a virus that they said is not easily treated. And so they're saying that they want people to be in the house, just go in the house. They said just go in the house after 6 o'clock until the end of September. And the people don't want to because they want to be out and about. They don't want to be confined to their houses. But the city council was saying, look, if we don't want this thing to get out of control, abide by this, agree to this voluntary lockdown. We're not trying to control you and tell you to stay at a house, but agree to this so that, we can maintain this and keep it under control. We don't want this thing to get out of control. So there is a mosquito, a pestilence amongst this. It's called Eastern Equine Encephalitis. And that's what it's called. And they're trying to impose, well, they haven't imposed it, but they said it's a voluntary lockdown. It's a voluntary curfew until the end of September. But, these things can start small and then they can go out of control. So, this was yesterday that this story was put out. Pestilence. And we all know with the famine, we know that a lot of countries are running out of food. Venezuela, Sudan is running out of food. They're experiencing a civil war. We know about the race wars over there in the UK with the migrants. Here in America, the migrants are just running up in stores and just taking stuff, just looting stores, stealing things out of the stores and selling them on the street because they come over here. See, what they do is they come over here with distorted views of what life is like in America. The reality here in America. And when they get over here, they see it's not what TV has sold them or what they saw in the media. And so they get desperate and they start committing crimes in the streets and running up in stores, stealing, looting, taking things, becoming violent, because they need money to survive. But, yeah. Also, this is a case, in my opinion, of domestic terrorism that happened first in July when Prime Minister, I don't know if they call him Prime Minister or President Benjamin Netanyahu came to visit and discuss the ceasefire, the Gaza, Israel-Gaza ceasefire with President Biden and Vice President Harris. He came and stayed at the Watergate Hotel in Washington, D.C. during his visit. Protesters, pro-Palestinian protesters put maggots. Well, I don't know who did it. I think I know who's responsible. But they put maggots and crickets in his hotel, in his food. And just the day before yesterday, they did the same thing at the DNC convention in Chicago. At the Fairfield Hotel, I believe, in the food, the breakfast of the Indiana delegates, they put maggots in those people's foods. And the FBI is trying to figure out who's responsible for it. But that's kind of obvious. Maggots, make America great again. And that's kind of obvious who's responsible for that. It's pro-Trump people that did that. Pro-Trump protesters. And or either, I don't know, there's false flags or something. But to me, those are considered domestic terrorist attacks. And speaking of domestic terrorist attacks, there has been, in my opinion, it's a domestic terrorist. To me, that equates to a domestic terrorist attack that this 66-year-old man, that they currently have a manhunt. There's currently a manhunt for a 66-year-old Arizona man who was trying to plot a second assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. There is currently a manhunt, if they have not apprehended him yet, that for him, because he was going to try to assassinate former President Trump during his speech in Arizona yesterday. So they're looking for him. 66-year-old man. Let's see, we talked about the monkeypox. We talked about Netanyahu, Trump, the maggots, curfew. What else did I look at? Oh, God. And okay. And sad, unfortunate, sad news. I want to share with you guys about an article about the billionaire tech, tech tycoon Mike Lynch. He's a billionaire who went on vacation with his family and friends 22 people on a super yacht. It's like a luxury yacht in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. And they experienced some turbulence, or bad, not turbulence, that's the airplane. They experienced some bad weather out in the middle of the sea on that yacht that they claimed was unsinkable. Like they said, the Titanic was unsinkable. And what they experienced was they ran out in the middle. They sailed out into the middle of the sea and got caught up in a funnel cloud. And that funnel cloud, or that scud cloud, which is like a tornado, capsized that boat and caused it to sink. And so far, they've recovered 5 corpses, and they're looking for the 6th one, which is the 18-year-old daughter. His 18-year-old daughter. His wife survived, and I think 14, 15 other people, but they said 6 people they think are declared dead. Well, 5 people that they've recovered, and then there's one that they haven't found, which I think is the 18-year-old daughter, if they haven't found her yet at the time of this video. But yeah, that lets you know. I mean, the Bible says money will fail you. I don't care how much money you have. You know, if you out in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, you got the money to go out there and sail in the middle of the sea, and you get caught out there in some weather, there's nothing your money can do for you. And you say that boat can't sink, but you don't tell God that what he can't sink. Unsinkable. That's what the people on the Titanic said, that boat was unsinkable. I don't care how luxurious it is and how much millions of dollars it costs to build it. So, unfortunately, it's like with that submersive. Those people paid $250,000 a piece to go down there into the bottom of the sea to see the Titanic wreckage. And they ended up dying. Money will fail you. You can have all the money in the world, but some places, you're just not meant to go. That's just not for human habitation or human exploration. But money will make you think you can go anywhere and do anything. So rest in peace to those people. But also, some more sad news to report. The rapper Craig Mack, he was one of the first successful rappers, mainstream successful rappers on Sean Diddy Combs, Puff Daddy Combs, label Bad Boy Records. His ex-wife gave an interview to Rolling Stone magazine recently, in the past few days, confirming that his actual cause of death was from HIV/AIDS. Now, originally, they said at the time when he died, it was like in 2018, at the age of 46 or 47, they said that he was telling people that he had congestive heart failure, but she produced his death certificate and confirmed that he actually died from HIV/AIDS. And in the interview, she talks about how, when they were married, and it was a very problematic marriage. He was a serial cheater, and they ended up divorcing. They had 2 children, and he took the children in 2008. And she believes that it was the time that he first learned of his diagnosis when he lived in New York. She said that when he found out he was diagnosed with HIV, he took the children and moved down south to North Carolina or either South Carolina and joined a religious cult. He got real super religious after he found out that he had HIV. And he took their children and he joined this cult. And this cult was led by a white nationalist Christian man who was accused of being a pedophile, a Chester. The man is dead now, but yeah, he joined this cult, took a vow of poverty, and just got real religious, she says, after he learned of his diagnosis. Now, eventually, the children ended up growing up and leaving the cult and reuniting with their mom. But it's a very sad situation because, he was out there, he was one of the more successful rappers, and he did what's the song, Flavor in Your Ear, very, it's a very popular song. And he's one of the biggest rappers back in the mid '90s. Before he was Bad Boy's biggest rapper before Biggie became uh, Bad Boy's biggest rapper during that time. But he ended up fading into obscurity and ended up contracting HIV according to the wife and passing away. He lived with it for about 12, 13 years and then he passed away. But they said he had like $1 million in his account. I don't know if it went to the cult or if it went to the children, but still, that's a very sad story. But again, what does it profit a man to gain the world and lose your soul? You live in that world, the rap music and stuff, Satan to give you all the things your heart desires. And said the heart is desperately wicked and he'll give you everything you desire. And most young black men who come from a poor environment, they want women, they want money, they want fame, and people to look at and gawk over whatever, their cars and jewelry and things like that. Typical rapper story. And so what the devil does is he throws all these beautiful women, because in that world, and I'm going to keep it all the way real with y'all, in that world, you have a lot of temptation and there not too many people can withstand it because there's a lot of promiscuity because with all the fame and fortune that you have, you can sleep with anybody all over the world. You travel the world and you have access to people that you can sleep with all over the world, men and women. And there's a lot of sexual deviancy in that world, in that industry, that celebrity world, that entertainment, even not just the celebrity world, amongst the rich, because you have so many options to indulge in your vices. So it's really sad, but rest in peace to Craig Mack. So I'm glad he found God before he left here, but it was a very sad situation because if you look at his last interview, the man he died at 46, 47, but he looked like he was 10 to 20 years older than his actual age at the time of his death. So that's sad. You see these people, you grow up listening to these people. Violence in Eastern Democratic Republic. And they come to those type of ends. I have yet to see a 70-year-old rapper. So we'll see. Okay, what else? We did Craig Mack. And then I want to talk to y'all about the statue in Houston that they have erected of a Hindu god. It looks like a monkey/human statue in Houston. They said it's like the third largest statue in the United States. And it's in Houston. They just erected it in Houston of a Hindu god. Got the head of a monkey and like the bottom part looks like a human, and a really weird, scary, creepy looking statue. But it's the third largest in the United States. But the largest statue in the world, which I didn't know, was actually one that's located in India of a man who was like some type of politician or activist, attorney in India who was a constituent or comrade of Mahatma Gandhi, or he was a student or follower of Mahatma Gandhi. But it's the tallest statue in the world. And they said this statue cost over $400 million to build. And it sits right in the middle of a remote town in India. And this man was like a Hindu. He's a practicing Hindu. And they said that statue is the tallest statue in the world. And they talking about it's hurricane proof. Not even a hurricane can knock it down. Well, that's the same thing they said about the Titanic being unsinkable and this super luxury yacht that's unsinkable. We'll see. If, God said they'll erect those idols and those statues, and he said, I'll knock them down. So, I thought that was something interesting that they put this statue up in Houston. And it was a Hindu false god. And then the tallest statue in the world is in India of a man who practiced Hinduism. And that's crazy. But yeah. All right, y'all. So that's enough. I'm going to post these stories up there, though, to show y'all, Oh, I didn't tell y'all about the. Did I tell y'all about? Did I talk about the man with the cow that tried to rape the cow? Okay, so in weirdo news, there was a man who tried to rape a cow. He was a Russian tourist on holiday in Thailand, and he got naked, ran out into a field, and first he tried to sodomize a bull, but then he ended up attempting to sodomize a cow, and the cow ended up getting violent with him and gorging him to death. But the people saw him when he went and attacked the animals, and they called the police. So the police ran out and got the cow off of him before the cow could kill him, and they arrested him. I think they found some drugs in his car, but they arrested him. You can't make this stuff up. They arrested him and said they are going to deport him back to Russia. And Russia said that when he gets there, they're going to send him to the army and put him on the front line in Ukraine and send him to the army. I guess they're going to put him out of his misery because they said he broke up with his girlfriend and tried to rape a cow. So I guess Russia feels like, you know what, if you that miserable, we just going to go and put you out your misery and put you on the front line and let Ukraine kill you. You can't make this stuff up. I'm going to put this story up there for y'all to see. And then, did I tell you about the sexy red lipstick or lip gloss? The lip gloss line with the 25-year-old rapper. Did we talk about that? With the lip gloss flavors, booty hole brown and gonorrhea and nut and sex on my period. Those are her lip gloss flavors. And this is a 25-year-old female rapper with 2 children. And there will be some people that are going to buy that, but I don't think it's probably not going to be very successful, but there will still be some people who will buy that stuff. Very sad, but okay, y'all, I'm done. But it just speaks volumes of the accuracy of the Bible and how the Lord said that these things are going to happen. We are on the verge of World War III. There's just no shame, no moral decency anymore. It's just like people are just so, what they said, people will be exceedingly wicked in the end times, and that's what's happening, unfortunately. And everybody, all you watch that Democratic National Convention, and they all talking about, oh, joy and this and this and that. No, the real joy is going to happen when Jesus comes back. So don't, that stuff that they're talking, they're giving all the nice little speeches and all the rah-rah this and this and that. But the real joy is going to happen when the Lord Jesus Christ returns. So keep watch, stay prayed up, and just, there's going to be some, like the Bible said, perilous times, but you also, as a believer in Jesus Christ, got to know that when he comes back, all this stuff is going to be over. And, all of the suffering and sadness and heartache and pain and war and violence and wickedness will end when he comes back. So God bless y'all. And until next time, I'm going to post those stories up so y'all can watch them, but it's a lot of weird stuff going on, y'all. Weird stuff. But keep watch. Pay attention to the weather too. All the earthquakes and the volcanic eruptions and the hurricanes and stuff. The Bible says that these things are going to happen in diverse places. And what that means is these things are going to start taking place in areas that they normally don't take place in. So, of course, the wildfires, they've always been raging, but you see all the deserts are flooding. Like Dubai flooded because it was manipulating the clouds in Dubai and flooded the desert. Dubai is a desert town in the Middle East, and that flooded. Shut down the town for like the whole city for like 3 days, canceled flights and everything. And then the global cyber attacks. They said we are under global threats for cyber attacks. They said China's probably going to implement those. Oh, God, man. There's a lot of stuff going on, y'all. So the only thing you can put your faith in really is Jesus Christ. You can't put your faith in money. You can't put your faith in politics, government, nothing. Put your faith in Jesus Christ only, because we brace yourselves for some really chaotic times. So yeah, I'm gonna put the videos up. Y'all watch them, and until then, God bless everybody, and I will talk to you later.
At a camp for those who fled violence in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, Justine Munguiko is soothing her crying baby. She's a woman who needs answers around Mpox.
This skin lesion disease comes from I don't know where. I can't even remember the name of the disease. We were told that it comes after eating game, but neither I nor my child have eaten game. These symptoms just appeared.
Munguiko's experience highlights one of the challenges as the international community looks to tackle the Mpox outbreak: getting the knowledge they need to protect themselves to those who need it most. Her son is one of approximately 27,000 cases of Mpox in Congo's current outbreak, which began in January 2023, causing an estimated 1,100 deaths, mainly among children. Last week, the World Health Organization declared Mpox a global public health emergency after the disease spread to neighboring countries and outside the continent. But it's communities like Munguiko's that are most exposed and in need of support. The right information has to get to those immediately at risk, says Associate Fellow at Chatham House's Global Health Programme, Dr. Ebere Okereke.
Communicating with people about what they should do, what they should report, and how they should report so we can understand what's going on quicker and contain it better is critical.
But it's not only those at the Kanyaruchinya camp near Goma suffering from a lack of knowledge. Helen Rees, co-chair of South Africa's Mpox Incident Management Team, says that over the past 50 years there has been a shameful lack of investment to help African researchers understand Mpox better.
We still globally do not have a good understanding of Mpox, on the outbreaks, how it spreads, how many asymptomatic cases do we have for every case that we find with symptoms. We do not have a good understanding.
Back at the camp, there are some efforts underway to inform. On Monday, residents gathered to hear a health worker from aid organisation MEDAIR explain how to avoid infection. "We thought there was no medicine," said one attendee, clutching a leaflet. "I'm glad to hear it's curable."
Bonjour tout le monde, asseyez-vous. C'est vraiment toute une chaîne logistique qui va de notre acceptation d'abord et ensuite de quelques procédures administratives avant l'expédition. Mais notre plan stratégique de réponse de vaccination, lui, il est déjà prêt. Nous attendons juste que le vaccin arrive.
It's all about money and profit, and there's no money or profit in the developing world, and particularly in Africa, which is why you need a system, which is what the World Health Organization called for, where vaccine technology is shared all over the world, where we invest in factories all over the global south. And there's plenty of scope to make profit in such a system, but you would have the ability of poor countries in the face of a crisis like this to make their own vaccines and make their own medicines fast. They didn't want to share technology. They didn't want to open up their patents. They didn't want to threaten the profits of their pharmaceutical corporations. So we have the same broken system walking into another pandemic just a few years later is the definition of stupidity. And I think the European leadership played a huge part in being the problem there, just as they did in COVID-19.
Bueno, voy a grabar esto. No vayan a ver las cosas de lo que se ahogó, después van a verlo. Bueno, voy a grabar esto.
So some concern now in a part of Massachusetts after a man tested positive for EEE last week. This is the state's first human case in 4 years.
A small cluster of communities right on the Rhode Island state line is at critical risk for the disease. They're Oxford, Douglas, Sutton, and Webster, seen here on the Pinpoint News Tracker.
And now one of those communities is taking action to try to keep people safe, but not everybody is on board with the plan. Sophia Szabo here now with the latest developments.
Kate and Patrick, last night at a Board of Health meeting, officials in Oxford approved a recommendation to issue a 6 p.m. curfew to prevent the spread of EEE. But the people at that meeting were not happy with this decision.
Please don't do this to our kids.
800 people signed a petition.
Officials say they aren't banning people from going outside, but instead doing what needs to be done to keep people safe. They suggest the 6 p.m. curfew lasts until the end of September, then moves to 5 p.m. on October 1st. People at this meeting say this will hurt after-school activities, including sports.
We have probably well over 150 people that are here to stand up for their kids, to make the parents, have their own decision, make their decisions.
Last week, a man in his 80s from Oxford tested positive for EEE. It was the first human case in the state since 2020. The State Department of Health says people in critical areas should avoid outside activities at night.
In areas of high and critical risk, we really want people to be thoughtful about when they time their outdoor activities. Mosquito activity, feeding activity really peaks at dusk and dawn.
Though it is rare, EEE is a very serious and potentially fatal disease that can affect people of all ages. It usually spreads to humans through the bite of an infected mosquito. Live in studio this morning, Sophia Szabo, 12 News.
Well, good morning. We have seen police officers coming in and out of the hotel all morning long out here. It is believed that a group of women walked in around 6:45 yesterday morning, dropped off the maggots, then took off. For the most part, things are business as usual at the Fairmont Hotel this morning after a breakfast scare yesterday.
Wow, it was awful.
As the delegates from Indiana were set to begin their breakfast meeting, maggots were discovered on tables and on and near their food. Hotel staff noticed the insects and cleared and sanitized the room before any delegates had a chance to take a bite.
They protected us, of course, and they took care of it and turned it around in minutes. And so they wanted to make sure we were safe, and they really took care of business.
State and Chicago police moved in quickly and were joined by FBI agents who are here to help the city with security during the DNC.
They'll be reviewing that tape. They'll be going over that and going through video coverage and digital evidence.
Tainting food is not a new tactic for activists trying to disrupt events like these. Former FBI agent Phil Andrews says the FBI's sophisticated evidence response technology could potentially identify where the maggots came from and who placed them there.
Depending on what is on them, if they were handled, there could be all kinds of trace evidence, what packages they were traveled in. Or transported in.
While the thought of eating maggots is cringeworthy, it's the breach of security that really concerns DePaul professor and terrorism expert Tom Makaitis.
To me, the most disconcerting thing is not the maggots, it's the security breach that allowed them to get into the hotel and to get access to the food, because they could have put something much more nefarious in there.
Much like the theme of the DNC, the delegates targeted are not looking back. Instead, they are moving forward with the work that needs to be done.
What I want to do is focus on people going to the ballots and voting on November the 5th.
Now, right now, no one is in custody in connection to this case, and police have not put out a description of the group of women that they're looking for. We're live downtown. I'm Eric Rung, WGN News.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox, and we do have some breaking news out of Arizona, specifically the county where former President Trump is touring the border in Arizona. This just in from the sheriff's office right there. You're taking a look at a man who the sheriff's office is searching for, a Benson resident who is wanted on several outstanding warrants, including also he's being sought as an investigative lead for threats to kill a presidential candidate. And so right now there is an active investigation searching for the man that you see right there on the screen. He's wanted on several outstanding warrants, including DUI, failure to appear, a felony failure to register as a sex offender, and also being sought as an investigative lead for threats to kill a presidential candidate. That just being issued by the sheriff's office in the county where former President Trump is visiting right now to talk about the ongoing border crisis. We're going to continue to follow this breaking news, bringing you all the updates as they happen. In the meantime, we are going to step away for our final tuna break of the hour. After that, our newest host, Kritasina Evans, is going to be joining you to guide you through a number of hours of live coverage, including former President Trump, who is expected to deliver those remarks in Arizona in a short while on the border crisis. We're going to be right back.
Tech tycoon Mike Lynch has been confirmed dead after his body is recovered following the Sicily boat sinking. Days after a super yacht sank off the coast of Palermo, Italy during a violent storm, NBC News confirms the body of British tech businessman Mike Lynch was recovered August 22nd. Lynch's 18-year-old daughter Hannah is the sixth and final missing person from the 184-foot sailboat, which sank August 19th, and rescuers are still searching for her. The Royal Academy of Engineering, where Lynch was a fellow since 2008, give their condolences following the news of his death, saying on X, "We have fond memories of the active role he played in the past as a mentor, donor, and former council member. Our thoughts are with his family and friends at this time." Lynch, nicknamed by the UK media as Britain's Bill Gates, had been acquitted of fraud charges this summer related to Hewlett-Packard's $11 billion takeover of his company, Autonomy Corp., according to NBC News. The sailing vacation was a celebration after the case, as part of his defense team was also in attendance. The director of Sicily's Civil Protection Agency told NBC News August 21st that the others recovered from the wreckage were Lynch's associates, many of whom were part of his defense during his fraud case, including Morgan Stanley International Chairman Jonathan Bloomer and his wife Judy, and Clifford Chance lawyer Chris Morvillo and his wife Nada. Lynch's wife Angela and the ship's cook Ricaldo Thomas were recovered shortly after the accident, along with 9 other crew members and 2 other passengers. 8 were brought to a hospital and the rest were sent to a hotel nearby. However, Thomas later died. 15 of the 22 people aboard survived. The director of Sicily's Civil Protection Agency shares that it was likely a waterborne tornado, known as a waterspout, that struck the area. He notes that the luxury boat was, quote, in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Gene Deal, happy to have you, my man.
Yeah, man. I thought I was coming back when around in September time when something's supposed to drop to the people. But I'm glad you got me back, man. I want to send a condolence to my family. I lost my little brother, Eric Robinson. You know, we used to have a barbershop over there on Thecklin and Rust. Y'all, he's known in St. Louis by E, Lil E. But we lost him on Monday. So this is like last Tuesday. We lost heart failure, you know what I'm saying? That was the end result. But just want to let people know, because people seeing me in St. Louis, they were like, yo, what are you doing in St. Louis? I know, I used to live here. And but I'm here. I actually walked in the house and he was on the floor. They couldn't save him or nothing, so but it's all good, man. I just want people to know, take care of yourself, man. Make sure that you see your doctors, make sure you eat properly. You know, I'm changing a lot of shit in my life also. So just send out, you know, rest in peace to my little brother E. And thank you, man, for letting me do this on your show.
Oh, man, sorry to hear that, man. Prayers to you and your family, man.
Yeah.
Prayers out to y'all, man. But to get to what I wanted to ask you, right? It's a lot I want to get into. Craig Mack, you read the article that Rolling Stone wrote on him?
Yeah, I read it, man. It was crazy. It was crazy. You know, there's a lot of stuff, you know, I knew, but I don't think that they don't really know the inside of what was going on and what was really happening. You understand? They did the best with the information that they had. You understand? Craig Mack and anybody who knows and was around at that time knew that he was the catalyst that made Bad Boy and Big what they was. Now, Big was a hell of a rapper, don't get me wrong. But if you look at the numbers and everything, that Ready to Die album wasn't doing good in its first 6 months. You understand what I'm saying? Craig Mack single had blew up, Flavor in Your Ear. You understand? Which made Big jealous of him. You understand? So now they do the remix. And Big dissed Craig Mack on his own song, which he was heated on. And he went first. Anybody know, and most of the time when somebody has a hit, don't nobody go before them on their album. They come on after them or something like that. But Big went on first. And then what he said, I get more head than Craig get in the bed or something like that? Or Craig get in the Mac, or I got more Mac than Craig get in the bed, get head and order. Whatever he said, it was a diss. You understand what I'm saying? And that made Craig and him not, like each other. But that was all because of Puff, because Puff wanted to push Big, because Big was doing, everybody think Big was doing what Puff was saying. He was doing what Un was saying. You understand? That dressing up like a boss and everything like that with the Coogee sweaters, that's Un. Everybody in New York City knew that's how Un Rivera dressed. You understand? If you see a Big earlier days of his days before he got on like that, the scarf like he had with Tupac and everything like that, the Timbs, the baggy jeans and all that. He wasn't dressing like that. So he was using Un persona and doing what Un was saying because they had a bigger ideal with the Junior Mafia and everything. Un ideal was to have Big Papa, Junior Mafia and everything like that. So now what Puff did, he wears he wears some bull crap between Craig Mack and Big, because how he gonna diss him on his hit single? And then that point on, Puff start, Big start blowing up. So they did another remix. They remixed Juicy. They remixed the other things that was going on, and it blew Big up. But if it wasn't for that flavor in the ear, with LL, Big, Busta Rhymes, and who's the other guy? The other guy was I know it began with an M, I think. Forgot his name, but he was a hell of a rapper back in the day. So that forged some bull crap between them two. And then Craig Mack wasn't doing what Puff was saying, because Puff wanted Craig Mack to wear suits and all this other stuff. And Craig Mack was trying to keep it gully. He was trying to keep it streets. I didn't know he was born and he was raised up in Harlem. I thought he was always from Long Island. You understand what I'm saying? But Craig Mack, him and Puff didn't get along, man, and it started being some bull crap because Puff told Craig Mack, yo, if you don't get rid of your manager, you through. So when they got on MTV and they was talking about, yo, him and Big was up there talking about, yeah, we gonna do the Craig Mack album. If you look on their face, Craig looked at him like this, because Craig Mack knew he wasn't doing another album with Puff. You understand? Because Craig Mack wasn't getting rid of his manager. He was loyal like that to his people. So Craig looked up like this, and Big and Puff got this smirk on their face. But he was not coming back to Bad Boy, bro. And Big and him didn't get along anyway. But if it wasn't for him, Big album wouldn't have blown up like it did.
Yeah, this article exposed a lot, man. They also revealed that he had to move back with his mom when he went broke.
Yeah, bro. Come on, listen here. I think he said he got $25,000 as an advance. You don't see no more money after that until they start recouping. And tell me, how long do it take a record label to recoup $25,000? It must have took a hell of a long, because, like I said, like they say, he was catching buses now, and catching buses and trains.
Yeah, they claimed that he was mainly taking care of his family off of Flavor in Your Ear.
Yeah, but it wasn't. You got to realize it's going to take you probably 2 to 4 years or something like that to even get some royalties from Flavor in Your Ear. You know what I mean? It ain't like he gonna get after the record label charge him for his marketing, charge him for all the money they put out with the DJs and everything like that. He probably had a tab for like 200, 300,000 before he even got a dime. So what you gonna do?
Yeah, and the most shocking thing about this article that shocked me was his wife. She revealed that he died of AIDS.
Man, Craig has some like craters in his face. And then I had asked Kirk Burrows about that. Y'all say, yo, dude, man, what? All this y'all got the money and stuff like that. So he said he had a heart condition. So way back then, Craig was telling people he had a heart condition. So that's what people thought. I didn't know at that time that he had AIDS. I thought it was a heart condition. You understand? And then some years ago, I spoke to Roxy, and she confirmed that with me about the HIV and stuff. I wasn't going to never say nothing about it, but I think she said something on a guy named Storm Monroe, his show, and she said something in and said something in the article and everything about that, but that's just crazy, man. That's wild. That's that lifestyle. You understand? That's that lifestyle, willing and ready to run up in anything. You understand? And these guys don't care. Anything, any and everything that look good, that don't make it good. It is what it is.
Unfortunate, man. And his wife, she said that he refused to get treatment for it.
What would make you do that, man? You understand? I think that he was in that cult, man. And when you in cults and you in those type allegedly cults or religious places and religious things like that, you got brainwashed, man. Because even at that time, certain people was living with HIV. Right, Magic? They was living with AIDS. That's about the same time around Magic Johnson, right? Or before Magic Johnson. Or after Magic Johnson. Yeah, so people was living with AIDS. Or HIV. I couldn't fathom what made him feel like that he shouldn't get medical attention. Man, he was either probably brainwashed by that cult or he just didn't want nobody to know. And he was ready to die for that. Now, he was ready to die. I don't even know how to address that, man, because, you know, when you are depressed or you feel a certain kind of way, man, because what has happened to you, you had like Craig Mack, that Flavor in Your Ear was one of the top all-time songs in the top 500 of all-time songs. That Flavor in Your Ear made the top 500 of all time hits. So now you should be able to go on and do some other things. He had a couple other hits, but that'll bring on depression, man. You ain't getting the money that you thought you was going to get. Now you got to know that you're getting sick in certain situations, and then you got AIDS. You know you got HIV. Bro, it just made that man probably go into a certain kind of depression that he really couldn't do the music that he wanted to do. And he tried to hold on to something, and he thought religion was what he was going to hold on to. And then that wasn't working for him. And I guess he became unpredictable.
182 meters tall and decorated with 12,000 uniquely crafted bronze panels, India's 50-story Statue of Unity is a triumph of aesthetics and engineering. And get this, it's made from melted down old farm equipment. How did they do it? Can it really withstand earthquakes? And how will its appearance change over the coming decades? Join us today as we look up and ask how the world's tallest statue was built. There are few more appropriate subjects for the world's tallest statue than Iron Man. No, not that Iron Man. Indian statesman and independence activist Vallabhbhai Patel is nicknamed the Iron Man of India for his incredible nation-building work, uniting all 562 independent princely states on the subcontinent after the British abruptly peaced out in the 1940s. The statue was commissioned to celebrate Patel's monumental achievement, and to underline the fact it's for all Indians, farmers from all across the nation Patel helped create sent in their old unused scrap iron. Some 100 million farmers are said to have participated, yielding 129 tons of scrap iron, which today, melted down, forms the foundation of the statue. The statue itself stands at 182 meters tall, and that's no accident. 182 was chosen because that's the number of seats on the Gujarati legislature. It's constructed on a river island near where Patel grew up, facing the mighty Narmada Dam. That dam, like so much else in modern India, was also partly his idea. Celebrated Indian sculptor Ram V. Sutar, distinguished winner of the Padma Bhushan Award for service to his country, was chosen to lead the design team. He'd already made a statue of Patel, the one currently residing at Ahmedabad International Airport. Sutar reportedly combed through thousands of photographs and consulted many historians in order to achieve the perfect likeness for his masterpiece. Then he made models, first 3 feet high, then 18 feet, then 30 feet. The finished clay model underwent meticulous 3D scanning, with the model used as a reference for Chinese casting company Jiangqi Tongqing Metal Handicrafts, where the bronze outer layer was manufactured. Funding for the project came from a variety of sources, mostly the Gujarat government, but also private donations and even a fun-run marathon. In total, it's estimated the cost amounted to almost $400 million US. New York firm Michael Graves Architecture and Design was hired to oversee the project, along with the Singapore-based Meinhardy Group and Indian infrastructure giant Larsen & Toubro. Some 4,076 laborers worked alongside 250 engineers for 57 months on the project. Work began in earnest when Narendra Modi, then Premier of Gujarat, now Prime Minister, laid the foundation on the 31st of October 2013, what would have been Patel's 138th birthday. The hillock on which the statue stands was flattened, from 70 meters to just 55 meters, in order that the foundations could be laid. Of the many thorny engineering problems that had to be overcome, the most striking related to the statue's so-called slenderness ratio. What that basically means is that tall structures should ideally be more slender at the top than at the bottom. Seems obvious, right? Ram V. Sutar's sculpture of Vallabhbhai Patel, however, is clearly narrower at the base. Moreover, the statue's thrusting progressive stance meant those dainty sandaled feet are some 6.5 meters apart. Engineers decided the best way to solve this problem was to create 2 separate concrete cores, the same kind of core you'll have seen 100 times on skyscraper construction sites. Between them, these cores incorporate around 210,000 cubic meters of cement and concrete, 6,500 tons of structural steel, and 18,500 tons of reinforced steel. Working in Gujarat's hot climate created challenges for the concrete pool team, who needed to use an assortment of chiller systems to keep the all-important coarse aggregate element of the concrete cool enough to set evenly. Light shafts are concealed within each core for ferrying tourists up to the observation gallery, where up to 200 delighted sightseers can gaze out over the Narmada Dam and hundreds of acres of manicured grounds through strategically concealed rips in Patel's dhoti. Further up the cores are twin 250-ton tuned mass dampers. Why? The area is occasionally prone to earthquakes. Thanks to those dampers, the structure can withstand quakes of up to 6.5 on the Richter scale to a depth of 10 kilometers and a radius of 12 kilometers away. Cantilevered out from those mighty concrete cores is a steel space frame designed on CAD software. Onto this frame, the bronze-clad panels transported by sea from China were bolted on. If you're thinking the panels don't entirely seem to line up, that's actually deliberate. Why? The panels are designed to overlap slightly so they can move about in high winds, up to 180 kilometers an hour, and prevent the transmission of stress throughout the structure. The skin alone, by the way, weighs over 2,000 tons, and each panel is unique, requiring a clever tagging and numbering system to avoid confusion and delay on site. The building phase took 33 months, by which point the statue was visible from 7 kilometers away. It wasn't just the statue that was built, by the way. The Mammoth Project, which is 200 kilometers away from the nearest major city in a densely forested rural area, necessitated the building of a 4-lane approach road, a food court, and a 52-room 3-star hotel. There's also a museum featuring 2,000 photographs and 40,000 documents within 11 days of the unveiling. On what would have been Patel's 143rd birthday, some 128,000 tourists had visited the site, more than the Statue of Liberty managed in the same time frame. The total number of visitors currently stands at around 6 million. The statue is not without its critics. Many argue it's an overpriced boondoggle, and the money would have been better spent addressing local poverty. Over its projected 100-year lifespan, Patel's mammoth likeness will gradually turn green owing to the composition of its metal. And locals have wasted no time centering festivals around the giant statue, like impressive light shows involving powerful lasers. Well, what do you expect from Iron Man? What do you think? Is the paneled styling ingenious or kind of an eyesore? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more heavy metal tech content.
Evgeny Kuvshinov, 26 years old, was arrested in Thailand after allegedly stripping off and sidling over to a male bull before turning his attention to a female tied to a wooden fence. The Russian, who was on holiday in Surat Thani, allegedly tried to mount the cow only for her to react violently, pinning him to the ground and goring him. Locals had already called the cops as they suspected the man was up to no good when they saw him roaming around the field naked. They were said to have heard his cries for help while being attacked and waited for officers to arrive. Sickening footage appears to show Kuvshinov bent double without any clothes as the brown animal attacked him. The clip then shows the man being carried away on a stretcher after police and paramedics arrived at the scene. He was then taken to the Banaderm hospital to be treated for wounds on his bottom and abrasions all over his body. A paramedic from the Banaderm Foundation who treated the Russian tourist said they suspected he had been trying to have sex with the cow. They said, "We found cannabis in his car, so maybe he was high." Police Lieutenant Thongchai Chaikit of Ban Na Dong Police Station said they received reports of a foreign man in an altercation with a cow at 5:40 p.m. on Thursday. Cops can't say for sure if Kuvshinov was trying to have sex with the animal as there was no semen on her, the officer said. The officer added the suspect was fortunate that the rescue squad arrived when the cow charged at him as he was trying to restrain it by gripping its head. He said, "When we arrived at the scene, the suspect was being attacked by the cow. Witnesses said he had first went to a male cow, then over to the female and tried to climb on top of her. He kept walking and speaking Russian without any meaning. He had no smell of alcohol. In his car, there were marijuana and his passport torn apart." Police Lieutenant Chaikit went on to explain that Kuvshinov is currently detained at the local police station as doctors at the hospital would not admit him due to his crazy behavior. The local cop added that the force is now waiting for tourist police and immigration police to work on the incident before they conduct an investigation.
And welcome and thank you for joining us here on the second half of The Factor Uncensored. Before I go on, I want to blame photographer John Starling for making us do this segment. I'm a little too highbrow for all of this, but I decided to do it anyway. Just when we think we've heard it all, the rapper Sexyy Red introduces her new lip products. Now, here are some of the names on the flavors. Get ready for this, Dr. Ruth. Yellow Discharge, Booty Hole Brown, Gonorrhea, Blue Balls, and Sex on My Period, which happens to be fruit scented, according to Sexyy Red. Fans have been having very strong reaction to this. Let's take a look.
Imagine if you tell somebody that their lip combo look good and they tell you it's a combination of yellow discharge and gonorrhea with a dash of brown booty hole. Like, I beg your finest pardon. It has so much potential to be something. Like, she could have gave us a Sexyy Red, obviously. I would have took a Sexy Chocolate. But that's the best they could come up with? Sex on my period? What's going on up here?
Wow. What do you think about this? Let's turn it over to our guest so I can get out of here. Social media influencer Rich Lutz, radio personality Carmen Contreras, the queen of radio, along with pastor and journalist Dr. Ruth Allen Olson. Glad to have you all here on The Factor. Dr. Ruth, who invited you? Who put you in this?
I know. I feel bad talking about it next to her.
Actually, I said, let's bring Dr. Ruth.
Yeah, I think
she brings some gravity to it.
Yeah, I think God. He's gonna balance it out. Wanted me to be here.
So your thoughts on this, Dr. Ruth?
My thoughts are that freedom is not free, and this is frankly embarrassing to me. We have, on the one hand, your first segment, the first half of your program, is about a black woman running for the office of President of the United States. And then we have this. And it's the gulf is too wide. I'm embarrassed by it. It's ashamed. And what I want people to understand, especially young people, all of us, is that you're going to grow up someday. You're going to have children someday. And do you really want your child to look back and see that as the soundbite? Do you really want your body shaking like that and someone having to say, that's my parent? Is that what you really want?
Carmen, is that what you really want?
Get it sexy. Get it sexy. Okay, here's what I got to say about this, okay? This is who she is. This is what she raps about in her songs. So it's great marketing for her.
But I mean, she uses, I've never heard Sexy Red other than something commercial, but
this is in her songs. Booty Hole Brown, all that. Yeah, it's in her songs. I play it. It's marketing for her. Now, if she would have came out with a lipstick called Pretty Girl Pink, everybody would have been like, huh, what? But this is her. Now, maybe this is the first batch of the ratchetness. Maybe the next batch will be maybe conservative soccer moms lip gloss, but I think it's going to sell out. I've seen a lot of it on online. I've seen a lot of people against it, and I've seen a lot of her fans say, hey, I just ordered it. I'm waiting for it. But this is who she is.
And do you think her fans would be accepting of this because they know who she is?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I've been seeing. Like, I've had listeners that have slid in my DMs that have told me, hey, I'm buying it. Now, you wouldn't know if I'm walking around with gonorrhea lip gloss on me. And it's going to take somebody to get on TikTok to say, oh, my God, this is good product, and my lips look great, and they feel great. Next thing you know, everybody's going to be buying it. Unless you come up to me and be like, hey, what kind of lip gloss you got on? Like, you got gonorrhea lip gloss on?
No.
No, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe I'll just give out the initials, you know?
Green.
But maybe this is the first ratchet, hood rat chick batch of lip gloss, okay?
All right. Rich Lutz, let's hear from you. Your thoughts on that?
People vote with their wallets, so her fan base is gonna buy it. But she could have came out with a sexy red lipstick. I will not be buying this. I think it's gross. I don't want it on my lip. It's not very demure to wear.
She's not demure.
It's not demure to wear the lipstick, and it's not appealing.
Right.
You have it on?
No, I don't, but if I get it free.
If you had it on and I was a straight man and I'm like, hey, I like your lip, what are you wearing? You tell me gonorrhea? I'm like, girl.
It's a Sexy Red brand.
No, what shade? Come on, it's not.
Brown?
I just think it's gross. I have to agree with Doctor.
Words matter. Words matter.
They do.
They're creative. I think that we can use our minds and our hearts and our creativity to do a lot of things to build up. And in my own culture, I love everybody, but I represent my culture. And I don't think that is a good representation. So I'm on, I want everybody to have the freedom.
And this is pretty huge for you, Dr. Ruth, because you're pretty open to many things. But here's where you draw the line. You know, we've had you on many different segments here on The Factor, and this one you're like, no.
I'm like, no. But can I say something also?
It's too far.
Yeah, she's going to open it. She's talked about opening up sex stores because every city she goes to, that's the first place she stops at, a sex store. So you know, maybe find those products
I'm
that are sex
not
toy.
against sex.
Well, I mean,
I'm
we
against
expected to be in Saks Fifth Avenue.
Oh, Dillard's, right, exactly.
I'm against watching.
Yeah, I am too, to some levels, you know, because I can get a little ratchet sometimes, you know. But I mean,
Not our radio queen. Come on.
But you know, it's short-term money. Like long-term money, I'm gonna need you to change up the name so you can be in Dillard's and Mac can
It's
pick you
giving
up.
cash grab. To me, it's giving cash grab. There's nothing proprietary. I can get a red lip, a brown lip from any brand. There's nothing that sets it apart from anything else. To me, it's a cash grab for her fans.
Yeah, and somebody gonna get on
just a
TikTok.
novelty where people want to say,
More
look,
like a gag gift.
I got this color.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us here on The Factor on Censored. Still ahead.